Hi, I'm Shriya.
Hi, I'm Emily.
Hi, I'm Corey, and we're the development team for PKGsquirrel. We started with the following problem. Many small and medium-sized businesses have a difficult time keeping track of outstanding packages and deliveries and monitoring inventory within their warehouses. Warehouse employees have to track statuses for packages across multiple carriers. They need to assess what deliveries will arrive on a given day, and when packages do arrive, they need to check in all items and keep track of all inventory within their warehouse. Warehouse staff often needs to relay inventory information to financial and procurement departments, and they need a way to track the payment status for all items in their inventory. Currently, many businesses use separate Excel spreadsheets to track all this information in a piecemeal way. We set out to create an application to centralize and simplify warehouse inventory management. PKGsquirrel is the result of our work. PKGsquirrel allows businesses to track orders and inventory from the point that a warehouse receives order information from the procurement division to the point that invoices have been paid for that order. Users can view, update, and manage all their records from a single dashboard. Now we'd like to introduce you to PKGsquirrel by showing you how a hypothetical warehouse worker named Alex might use our application in a given day. I'll turn it over to Shriya to start our user story.
Alex is a warehouse worker who handles inventory. Today, she received some purchase order information from Coco's Cupcakes. She would be receiving a large shipment of sprinkles. So first, she inputs the tracking number and carrier given to her. By clicking Track Package, she sees that her package has been delivered. And now she scrolls down the list to see each tracking number and delivery status. She sees that the sprinkle shipment that has been delivered but hasn't been checked in yet. So she clicks this button and proceeds to take inventory of the items that were actually in the received shipment. She inputs the item name, the quantity, and price. We also see that the purchase order defaults to not created, and then she adds the item. She sees that she accidentally inputted the wrong price, so she then deletes the item and re-inputs the information. Then she submits the check-in form after correcting the item. In the inventory list, she can see information about each item that she has submitted in the check-in form, and she can also change the purchase order status by clicking this edit button. The purchase order status has 4 different settings. Not created, which means the warehouse operatives haven't sent the email to accounting yet. Created, which means they sent an email to accounting. Pending, which means accounting acknowledges the email. And completed, accounting replies that the invoice has been paid. If Alex wants to see all of her packages and items separately, she can also use the navigation bar to take her to the respective list. So first she looks at the packages list, and she can also see the inventory list with all the items. Now I'll let Emily talk about the technologies we used in our project.
So before developing our project, we knew that we would work with a database and we would have to handle users' input through HTTP requests. So we decided to choose a tech stack called MERN, which encompasses MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. We settled for this tech stack for 3 main reasons. One is that it basically worked with JavaScript-based language, so we would need to deal with context switching issues, and it would allow us to have quick development. Another thing is that MongoDB and other stacks allow for easy scalability. And another reason is also that within our team, we had experience using the technologies individually. So now the question is, how do these technologies solve our problem? Or how do these technologies help us meet our functional requirements? So let's take a look at our functional requirements. Our functional requirements can basically be broken down to three things. First, we would have to get the delivery status based on a package's tracking number. Then we would have to allow users to check in the items and save that information either to our database. Next, we would have to allow users to update the purchase order status from not created to either created, pending, or completed. Based on these requirements, we can see how these technologies piece together and help us achieve our goals. On the diagram to our left, we can see that React is talking to the Express backend, and then Express will send HTTP requests either to EasyPost API or MongoDB. Let's first look at the React, our front end. So because we have to take users' input and send in as HTTP requests, we use a library called Axios, which functions very similar to Ajax or Fetch. Another thing we want to use on our front end is to display real-time data, and we use this through useState and useEffect within React's hooks update. useEffect allows us to re-render any kind of changes based on changes in the database. And useState allows us to display updated value. useState is very similar to this.setState, but offers flexibility of declaring various variables and allowing developers to manage those states based on those declaration variables. As for EasyPost API, a third-party tracking API, it allowed us three conveniences. One was that it provided a Node.js solution, which we couldn't find when we worked with different carriers, APIs, or SDKs. Another thing is that we limited our scope to basically work with three carriers, UPS, USPS, and FedEx. But EasyPost API allows us to actually get delivery status from multiple carriers. And down the road, if you wanted to grow our project or expand our project to include multiple carriers, it would provide a neat solution to handle that. Another thing about EasyPost API is that it provides a webhooks functionality that allows us to update our delivery status whenever you want. So EasyPost API will send a webhooks notification to us, and then based on that notification, we could handle that through our express.route and update our records in MongoDB. So speaking of express.js and MongoDB, I'll let Corey explain that side of our project.
Thanks, Emily. For the back end of our project, we used the Express framework for Node.js to handle routing. We developed routes to create, read, and update items and packages within our database. And we created additional routes to handle information from the package tracking API that Emily discussed previously. We used MongoDB Atlas, which is a cloud-based MongoDB service, to create a scalable NoSQL document database. Our team members had previously worked with traditional relational databases, so designing a NoSQL database was somewhat new for us. After we did some research and planning, we were able to develop a data model that would work particularly well in a NoSQL database context. We used Mongoose, which is an object data modeling library, to create schemas to model our application data. And we'll talk a little bit more about our data modeling over the next two slides. So now we'd like to discuss some of the challenges that we worked through over the course of the project. The first challenge that we addressed was understanding the business perspective of the application. None of our team members had previous experience working with supply chain or inventory management issues in a warehouse setting. So we started with some initial research to help us understand the steps that occur once an order is placed with a supplier. That helped us ensure that we were addressing all of the common steps that take place for inventory management within a business and within the warehouse context. A second challenge was deciding on the best data schema for our database. We had to adjust our mindset from separating entities into related tables to thinking about how we could make data access faster and more scalable based on the goals of our application. And then finally, another challenge was how to best display information to the user. We initially displayed information as text in a table format, but after talking with our mentor, we decided to integrate more visuals into our data display. We integrated colors, symbols, and other visuals to improve the user experience. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about those choices shortly. Right now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about our data modeling. So with regards to data modeling, we separated our database into two collections. We have items and we have purchase orders. So the purchase orders collection contains our individual package documents. So that's like a package that we're tracking from one of the carriers, UPS, FedEx, USPS. And the items collection contains our inventory item documents. Those are the items that are created when a package is checked in. So here you can see how our schemas are represented within the database. For inventory items, we store item name, quantity, price, and purchase order status for each item. And then we also have a reference ID for the package document that's associated with that item. That way we can trace individual items back to which package they came from. For our purchase order documents, we store the tracking number, carrier information, delivery status, and check-in status for each package. We stored purchase order status, delivery status, and check-in status as numerical values within the database. That allows us to perform faster searches and comparisons for those attributes within the database. We're not having to go through and do comparisons with string values. We use arrays within our code to translate the numerical values from the database so we can display the relevant information to users through text or other visual representations. Now Shriya is going to tell you a little bit more about those visual representations and some of our design choices.
So we came up with the name PKGsquirrel because squirrels gather nuts and put them in one place, and our application is doing a similar thing by creating a space for people to keep track of their packages in one place. And we use PKG for short instead of package, and I also created the logo of a squirrel holding a box because I thought it was fitting to show the purpose of our application. We also use Material UI for our components, and some of the components we use are the navigation bar, the containers, the forms, and buttons, and all of these components have the same style, so it creates like a cohesive look for our MVP. And additionally, I also used the purple accents to draw attention to certain buttons and titles. The page itself is very easy to navigate since the three containers allow users to easily separate where they input the tracking number, where to see their package, and where to see their items. We also used a pop-up form for the check-in form since users would want to be able to click in and click out easily instead of having them navigate to another page where they then have to go back. And also, we also incorporated symbols and color coding throughout the page to make it easier for readability. So for example, you can see here that each of the carriers, like FedEx, has a certain color to it, and we used a stepper for the delivery statuses, and we used different buttons for each of the purchase order statuses, just so users can easily differentiate which statuses their items or packages have without just reading plain text that might be hard for the eyes. So for our future work and vision, we definitely want to add a filter to both of the lists, the package list and the items list, because that will make it easier for users to sort which statuses they want to see, like recently added or just the packages that have been delivered, stuff like that. And we also want to improve the responsiveness of our page so that the site will adjust according to the screen size of the user. And we also want to add an automated email that's sent when the purchase order is changed, because we know that that will be a repetitive process. And we would also love to allow users to create accounts so that their packages and items will be saved. So all of their past information of their older items will be saved. And in general, we want to improve the UI to make it a little more fancy, because this is an MVP, so we did make it simplistic, but we want to make it more professional, and we also want to be able to condense information in the best way possible so that our site can be used commercially, even if a business has a lot of packages to track.
All right, that wraps up our tech talk. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation. Package Squirrel has been a fun and challenging project for us, and we're very excited to share the prototype with you. If anyone has questions, we're all happy to discuss the project with you by email, and our emails are provided here on the slide. And feel free to check out our code on GitHub. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.